Okay, we'll just welcome people as they join us.
Oh,
Here we go. Hi, Adela, Stephen. Give it a few more minutes for a couple of others to join.
yep.
Cool, here we go. We've got some people coming through. Welcome, everyone. We'll kick it off in a minute or so. We'll just let everyone join. Oh, we've got
Perfect.
Sylvester with us too. Welcome, Sylvester.
Hi, Laura. Thank you.
Cool. All right, we've got a few people, so I guess we may as well kick it off. Welcome everyone to the DTR update, fortnightly update. My name's Laura, I'm one of the KBAF admin, and we've got Emma Walsh, who's on the KBAF Executive Council, as well as the team from MPI, Sylvester, Daniel, Dunya, and Mark. I think, have I missed anyone? No, cool. So just as we start off with all meetings, excuse me, there will be no discussion of prices, surcharges, fees, costs, particular customers, revenues, market shares, or any other commercially sensitive topics. If we do go into that sort of area, we will be shutting this webinar down. This webinar is being recorded. Slides will be made available to you via the KBAF website along with the recording afterwards. And if you wish to answer any questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand throughout the at the Q&A session time, and we can turn your mic on for you. So I think that's everything from my end. So I will hand it over to you now, Sylvester.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, KBAF, for organizing this webinar. So welcome. Good afternoon. This is the second week after we've gone live, 12th of July. And this is a joint customs and MPI DTR sea freight project update. The intention of today is just to take you through where we're at with DTR, a quick update on things we're noticing, and a few other bits and pieces, with an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of this slide pack. This is not a very long slide pack, so we should get through this pretty quickly and move on to your questions. Thank you, Daniel. Right. DTR Sea Freight has been implemented. It was mandated on the 3rd of July. Comms went out. We had webinars just prior to the mandate, and comms went out to everyone. We can see an increased traffic in our DTR submissions. And as we've said before, now a DTR is required for any uncleared sea freight to be moving from one approved facility to another. This includes movements from the port to your CCA, and also movements of DVAN consignments from CTA to CCA. And I'll hand over to Danny. He'll take you through some of the stats of our phase 1.
Thanks, Sylvester. So for FAK movements from port to CCATF, we've currently received a total of 3,299 DTR submissions and 3,101 containers that have been moved either through Auckland, Tauranga, Littleton, and Napier. And as you can see on the right, currently at about 700 containers for July, and it continues to rise. So overall, we're looking very good. But moving into the submissions, essentially MPI require the following attachments. So the quarantine declaration, bill of lading, and the manifest. In the last week, we recently went out to a few submitters just to do a few checks here and there to ensure that the attachments are coming through. And also what I should note for CargoWise users is there is an attached documents tab within CargoWise as part of the new version update. So please pay attention to that one. Previously, you would attach documents at the end when you did just before you sent through the submission. Doesn't seem like that is currently working. But yeah, Emma could probably comment on that a little bit further through the webinar. But point 2 pretty much relates to ensuring that the QDs are entered on the lodgements correctly. And this also matches the physical document, and it's entered against each consignment. So this is just a graph that we've recently pulled together around the lack of documents for July as well as June. I think last week we had a webinar, we were sitting at about 13% where documents were not submitted with the FAK movements. This has gone up to 17.16%. So yeah, it is very important to include those documents in, and after this meeting, we'll probably reach out once again to a few submitters just to make sure that the documents are all attached.
Yeah, so sorry, Daniel, just to jump in here, underneath those stats are individual submission details that we can see. We are pulling out those stats, and there is a trend, and we will be following that trend. So Daniel's going to reach out, or you'll see a email come out from the DTR itself, the DTR mailbox, which will tell you that we've noticed, your submissions are coming through without attachments. And as we track through our project, we will expect to see a trend downwards. So you're encouraged to pay attention to your submissions so that they come through accurately. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Sylvester. And this is just pilot partner status and status of submissions. So currently we're sitting at 93.80% of FAK volume on DTRs. So it is a very good result, and we continue to move towards the 100% mark. Now we'll talk about DTRs for LCL movements. I'll pass over to Emma.
Yep. Okay. So as you can see there, there's been 188 LCL submissions from the 3rd of July to the 12th of July. We are getting the majority of the questions that we're getting through the DTR mailbox are around the LCLs. If you are already or have already been as part of our pilot partner and is just submitting FAKs, the process for LCL cargo is exactly the same. Well, essentially this is exactly the same. The only difference is for LCL cargo, you don't need to submit documents, and obviously you don't need to submit the quarantine declaration information because it is LCL cargo. So you just need to make those differences, those changes before you submit your application. For the CargoWise users, I have completed a cheat guide which I've sent through to the DTR team, and they'll be putting out in today's notifications through KBAF, and then also on the website as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so just for those CargoWise users, if you haven't done one before, I'll just quickly go through it again. So this is essentially when you bring up a new shipment, it will all be blank. You need to fill in the details yourself. Currently, there is no way to be able to do, well, from what I'm aware of, there's no way to do a one-line LCL movement by transferring the stuff from the console screen. So you do need to start that process from the customs through to the Sea Cargo ICR module and create one from scratch. So putting in the carrier details, vessel details, voyage, ports, discharges, and the goods location. Now the goods location is where the goods are located currently, not where you want them to go. So in this instance, we're picking it up from tappers. Then you go down, put your container details. Again, as you can see, you can put it in as LCL. You still need to distinguish the container type, but obviously leaving the MCD or the quarantine declaration answers off, because it's not going to be for that full container. If you've got more than one container, then just enter down, it'll bring a new line up and you can put them in. Cool, next slide. Thank you. From here, then you go across to the house bills, and then you just fill in the blanks there as well, the house bill number, the consignor details, consignee details, notify party details if you've got them. You can free type them, but if you do have your org code set up, which you should do, then just put in the org code and it'll bring all of that data through for you. Yep. Next. From there, then go down and allocate for your house bill. So in this instance, we've got, I think it's 305 have a look. Oh, 105, sorry about that. 105 packages at 120 kilos. That belongs to the houseful of DTR 01. Cool, next. Then you go into the next houseful, put in your details again. So if you're bringing multiple stuff back under bond, you can just do one DTR request. So in this instance, there's two, it's out of 2 containers. We've got one package and 3 pallets. Next one. And then the last one in this example where you've got different types of packages, but out of 2 different containers as well. So you just need to put all of those details in, select your container, put your goods description, and don't worry about the tariff code or the values unless you are doing a write-off. Cool, next. So then come up, you need to save your shipment at this point in time before you go on, and then you can come up, apply your defaults, which will have a pop-up box that'll show you where it's going to. So you would put that it's going via road or rail or coastal vessel, however it's moving, and the CCA of where it's going to. Cool, next. Once you've done that, then you can just submit it. It'll come back with 2 responses from one from customs, one from MPI. That'll look like this. The first one, what you're looking at here is from MPI. It's showing that obviously none of these jobs have been written off because they are requiring a import declaration. However, that has been approved for the movement, and it states that it needs to be moved by way of an enclosed secure leak-proof conveyance, being either within an enclosed vehicle or an enclosed container. So that's your instructions from MPI for movements. Next, and then the other response that you'll get is from customs. So it's pretty straightforward with customs. If it's been approved, it will say movement approved. And again, it shows you at the houseful level that still a import declaration is required for formal clearance. Cool. If you've got any questions or whatever, feel free to go and see our DTR information page or our frequently asked questions. I believe that the team will be putting up the cheat guide if they haven't already today for anybody that needs it. Cool, thank you. Pass it back to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Emma, and Daniel. Yep. Yeah, so we'll open up for questions. Feel free to type your questions or raise your hand and Laura will unmute you.
Yeah. Sure, we haven't got any questions in the Q&A box yet, but we'll give it a few minutes. Anyone want me to turn their mic on? Just raise your hand and let me know.
Just while we're waiting, if there's any users on Expedient, if you're having any trouble or anything, please just reach out to the DTR team and they'll also put you in touch with either myself, and I'll pass you on to someone that's experienced and knows about the DTR process through that. But I believe it's quite straightforward.
Yeah. Here we go. So I've got a hand up. So I'm not sure, sorry with the name. I've just got company name Roleg NZ. I'm going to turn your mic on. You want to unmute yourself? Hi, are you there with us? Who's there at the end of the Roleg NZ? Are you there? Not sure if your microphone's working. Oh, here we go. Connecting to audio now. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, go ahead.
Okay, so it's Michelle here from Rolling. Just a quick question. We did receive an email regarding docs or lack of docs when submitting the DTR. Are you able to send, because we did email across, are you able to send those examples over just so that we can check that it's not a system issue? We have actually been submitting docs. When I'm looking in the job, I can see that the docs have been submitted with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can send through a few TSWID numbers that can be
Great.
cross-checked.
Thank you.
No worries.
Helps if I unmute myself. Is there anyone else who has any questions?
Nope. I think all in all, though, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that has been part of the pilot programs or giving it a go prior to go live. I think that's made the difference between last year's air freight debacle and this year. It seems to be a less shocking approach, which is great and a great result for all. So thank you so much for starting early so we don't have a massive influx of people not too sure what to do. And please just reach out to the DTR inbox if you do have any questions. It is monitored very regularly by MPI and also customs, and they flick them through to myself and other people if they're not too sure, if they can't answer your question straight away.
Perfect. So I think we end it there, unless there's any last minute questions coming through. No, I think we're good. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Kabaf and Emma. And yes, I'd like to echo Emma's words around jumping on board and submitting DTRs early. We wouldn't have reached that close to 94% result without your input. So all those who have done, congratulations and thank you. We'll continue with these webinars weekly till the end of July, and we'll see how things are trending and make a call on further webinars. So in the meantime, feel free to reach out to DTR mailbox. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. See you
Thank
next week.
you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.